Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Creating Tailwinds podcast by Flight Path Financial with your hosts, John Urbick and Jared Adams. Join us today as we discuss the power of infinite banking. And here we go.
Greetings, John. Welcome. Another awesome day. How are you doing today?
Jared, I'm doing great. Happy Sunday to you. How are things on your side of town?
What have you been up to? What's been keeping you busy?
Well, let's see. Antoinette just left. She went up to Boston to visit with Anthony, his wife, and our two granddaughters.
Yep.
Well, they take care of some things up there, so she's going to be up there for the next week, and so I'm here catching up.
I know the feeling. We've with kiddos back in school, it's been crazier than ever. I feel like we're just a bus driver to one event to the next. I mean, all three of them are in some kind of a sport right now, and it's awesome. But it's been every single night of the week we're doing something.
I remember those days. You're super dad. I know you're an above and beyond guy, and that's awesome.
Love it. Well, I think we've got a great topic for today. You want to launch us into it? And I love the mentality of where we're going down with this one.
Sure. Yeah, this is for, it's kind of a pilot thing, but it applies to everybody. And most people don't realize, but last year in 2024, I checked the numbers on it, was 24 accidents in 2024, 7 of which had fatalities. Kind of a somber tone.
In 2024, 46 accidents?
46 accidents
there
total.
Was 46.
Yeah, and 7 had fatalities on those.
Wow.
When you're in the cockpit, when things don't go your way, when you may have a simple emergency, you may have complex emergencies, and they can snowball, as you know, in a hurry. And
Sure.
if you make the wrong choice too quickly, what happens? It gets worse. And so, maybe we could just briefly hit on, as pilots, what we do to mitigate that threat, how we create time, and then how, surprisingly, that relates to our finances. And it really does. What do you think?
Sure. I think that's perfect. One of the first, things I heard way back early on in, first couple of years flying in the regional world, they would have said, you can't get back runway behind you. You can't get back altitude you don't have, and you can't get back fuel that's not in your tank.
Right.
And all three of those apply to how much time you have. If you're at 37,000 feet and something goes wrong, you've got a considerable amount of time. I mean, unless it's a rapid decompression and you're just going straight down towards the Earth's crust, you've got a considerable amount of time to figure it out. As opposed to the Air India thing that just happened, where the engines flamed out at about 1,000 feet off the ground. Yeah. You don't have a whole lot of time.
No, that was
So again, as you're talking about building time, it's also a raw material you've started with as well, right?
It is. It's the most important commodity that we have, especially in an airplane, because it gives us time to think. Our cognitive abilities are what separates so many times a good outcome from a bad outcome. You talk about expanding your team. The captain oftentimes will hand off the airplane, all things being equal, to the first officer, who's also very skilled, but it gives the captain time to think, sit back and say, all right, what do I want to do first here? You've got a bunch of different things happening. You've got a lot of distractions, a lot of noise. How do you hone in on what's really important right at that moment, and then you work your way through those things? So how do you create time?
That's right.
Transferring aircraft control. You expand your team with not only the first officer, but you might call maintenance. You might tell ATC, hey, I got an issue, and they're controlling you. They may give you a block altitude. They may give you vectors. You could ask for holding. It could be a weather situation where it's fuel, like you talked about. What are the alternates? What do they look like? I wasn't planning on alternate 3. I was going to alternate 1 and 2, and now I've got to consider 3. I haven't even looked at the weather over there. ATC can pull that up quickly for me, or if there's another guy in the airplane, if you're an international, there's 3 pilots, sometimes 4. You can employ those people too. There's a lot of different things that can happen. Sure. So, I was thinking about this. You've flown airplanes a long time, Jared. Maybe you could talk about what one of your emergencies and what you did.
Yeah, there's one that comes up kind of top of the mind was again, it was back in the day with the regional airlines, and we were coming into Pittsburgh. We were at about 15,000 feet on descent into Pittsburgh, and we got a master warning that there was a fire in the cargo.
Oh no, not a good
And we
one.
were like, okay, so what are we doing? We're, and just you just start to try to like all of your spidey senses just start to like the little hairs on the back of your neck just stand up and you're like, really? A fire? Like these are the worst possible scenarios in terms of, you read
Right.
all the statistics, you find out there's not a whole lot of time to make these choices. You make them fast and you make them rapid to make a choice on what's going on because you might not have time. You
Well,
may
that one
burn a
brought
hole in the side
AirTran
of the
down in
plane.
Florida.
That's right.
You
That's
know,
exactly right. Yep,
it's inside the airplane. That's
that's right.
that's a very serious emergency.
So you hear about all these things, you've read all these stories in the past, and yet when it happens, it's difficult to cloud out all of the other noise
Right.
to know what is the best decision right now.
Right.
So again, you said start building the team. Like I immediately make sure that the FO is flying, and
Yep.
immediately we're starting to figure out what's going on here. So we've got a sensor where we can see a temperature in the back. Okay, cool. Pull that page up.
Nothing.
No, nothing looks out of normal.
Hmm.
All right. Now I call the flight attendant up. Say, hey, and I'm trying not to spook her because
Yeah, of
I don't want her to get too excited as well. But I
course.
say, hey, would you walk to the back uh, lavatory? There's a little hole, almost like you can look through a door to see who's knocking on your door. There's a little hole back there, and there's a little button you can push to turn a light on in the cargo hold. Would you go just see if, just tell me what you see? And so she calls me back like a minute later. She's like, it's all black. I don't see anything. I'm like, okay. I was like, do you smell anything? Does anything seem weird? Nope, don't smell anything.
Hmm.
Any okay, so now I start to clue her into what's going on. I was like, I've got an indication of a fire in the cargo hold. I need you to tell me anything you see out of the ordinary. And she's like, I don't see anything. I don't smell anything. Nothing's out of the ordinary. So,
Right.
long story short, with a whole bunch of different items, knowing that we were literally 2 minutes away from being on the ground in Pittsburgh with an emergency declared. We declared an emergency, but we never blew any kind of bottle or any kind of fire suppression because we were so close to the airport. We landed. We had folks following us to the parking spot. We had all of the fire equipment and everything that followed us to the parking spot, and all of the ops agents knew what we were doing and why we were doing it. And the instruction was, do not open that cargo hold until everybody is off the plane.
Yeah. Yeah.
So everybody gets off the plane. All of the fire teams are ready there to fight whatever fire is in there, knowing that once you expose it to some oxygen, it's going to get way worse. And long story short, they open up the cargo hold. There was nothing. It was
Good.
just everybody's bags sitting in
That's a
there.
thankful outcome. But
So
you
we
don't
were,
know. You
you
don't
don't,
know.
you don't. But in terms of, we declared an emergency, we made priority, we built the team, we told everybody and their brother what was happening, why it was happening, what we were doing.
Right. Yeah. Now that's a great story to convey. And it's one that talks about the whole cockpit resource management and expanding your team and all of those things that you did so effectively. We all have multiple stories to talk about,
Sure.
things that have happened to us. I think back on something that happened to me. You've flown into LaGuardia how many times,
Uh,
out of New York? You
Hundreds, maybe
know,
thousands.
Friday evening out of LaGuardia, it's not a lot different than New York City traffic. I mean, it's chaos. I mean, it's like a bumblebee on the scope on the TCAS, the Terrain Collision and Avoidance System. It shows where all the airplanes are running.
Yep.
It's full of airplanes.
Oh yeah.
And I blasted out of there, Carnegie, and one of the departures out of there. And lo and behold, I was flying an MD-88, older technology, wonderful airplane, but had some electrical failures, and I lost all my navigation. Everything was gone, to include my ADI, my attitude indicator, which I'm using as you know, for those who don't, it's what we use to position the airplane relative to the level and climb, descents, turns, to the earth, right? And I said, okay, great. So I was going to, normally I would turn something like that over to the first officer, but in this case, I didn't have it. He didn't have anything either. But I had my
Yep.
standby attitude indicator, which is the backup that we use, of course, that you know. And
Yep.
so I said, I'm going to keep the airplane. I want you to let ATC know that we have this problem. And so we worked through the whole thing. And the short story is He was a great first officer, but he was brand new, but he was disciplined. Checklist, checklist, checklist. Ran through each of the checklists. We got each of the systems back like nothing happened.
Yep.
But in the heat of the battle, it was extremely uncomfortable for me because I had no idea what I was up against. I didn't know what this was going to turn into. All I knew is that I had to expand my team. We did that. And I knew I had to first fly the airplane. That's always the first thing. Somebody's always got to be flying that airplane. Then you navigate, then you communicate. The passengers in the back didn't even know any of this
Sure.
happened. They,
Sure.
oblivious to it all.
Yep.
That's the way it should be. That's what a
That's right.
professional pilot, how they should run the cockpit. In my view, I don't mean to blow my own horn. I had a great first officer. I'll give him all the credit. You've got to build time. You've got to expand your team. You've got to do this. And so that rolls into what we do on a regular basis and why that there's a direct correlation to our finances.
Sure.
Our finances is we have to create time and we can create financial time because we have all kinds of situations in life which blow up in our face financially. And we got, okay, I got to figure this out. Don't do anything quickly. Figure it out. How are you going to figure it out? And I think maybe I could turn it over to you to talk about why an infinite banking practitioner is so valuable to help you manage your financial baseline.
In making that correlation between the stories we were just talking about and building time in your financial life is just like us. We had no idea when that emergency was going to occur. We had no idea when that one day was going to be. But by access to capital in the finance world, just by having access to your own system, your own bank that you've built up over time, over decades, that having that access to capital creates that time for you. It creates that ability to pass the controls to the first officer, to take a bigger picture as the captain, to step back a second and go, what's the best choice for right here, for right now? How do we make this
Right.
so that the landing is soft, so that the passengers in the back don't even know that we just went through a very difficult time? So that's kind of my synopsis of that is if you build yourself the time, if you build yourself the scenario,
Right.
you're already set up for success, just as we're talking about as creating tailwinds. How much more perfect of a description could this be by creating an opportunity for your family that when it does go bad, because it's typically happens once a decade where you get dealt a bad hand, how do
Yeah.
you deal with that? How do you respond to it?
Let me ask you a question. Um, Financial emergencies,
Sure.
not going to happen to me, right?
Never.
No, never does.
That's right.
And most people out there are thinking, I'm good.
Yep.
What did our research bear out on financial emergencies? Do you remember that?
It was over between 30 and 40% of US adults have had to dip into some emergency savings in the last year.
In the last year,
30 to 40%. So of the 10 people sitting around you in the room, 3 to 4 of those people have had that happen.
30, I think it was 37% could
Yep.
not afford a $400 unplanned expenditure,
Mm.
right? I mean, it's pretty Pew Research. Just pulling this up. May 25, approximately 1 in 4 adults had to borrow money from friends or family or had trouble paying for medical care.
Mm.
That's an interesting one.
Yep.
42% of Americans do not have an emergency fund. So there was an interesting stat on medical expenses directly caused about two-thirds, 66% of all personal bankruptcies in the United States. That is,
Mm.
I mean, think about that. That is huge. An IBC policy properly built, it's not a medical policy, it's not a long-term care policy, but boy, does it have some great riders in there to help along the way. If that, God forbid, something happens to you, that's
Sure.
not what we're doing IBC for. But that's an added bonus. These are things that people don't even think of. I need cash and I need it quickly. What am I going to do?
Yep.
I'll just go to my contract. I've got a medical emergency. I can't perform two of the 6 activities of daily livings because I just had a terrible car wreck.
Yep.
Oh, I can access not just the cash value component of my policy, I can access actually a percentage of the death benefit, far more than the cash values.
That's right.
People don't know this stuff. This life insurance is all about risk and controlling risk. Everybody wants to look at the upside. Hey, I'm set. I got my market. I got my stocks are doing great in the market. I got a bond for portfolio. I got this. I got that. And they're looking at the upside. But are they looking at the downside? My father used to tell me, he goes, don't tell me how to get into a deal. Tell me how to get out of it.
Yeah.
That was huge advice.
Yep.
And so for the people that out there might be out there listening to this and trying to mull this over in their own heads, this is not hard. This is easily done for you. You don't have to be super wealthy, or if you are super wealthy, this stuff is even more important for you
That's
because
right.
it protects your assets.
That's right. Yeah, that's very well said. And if you think about what the main benefits are in terms of just starting to control your own banking function and how you can recapture that interest you're paying to someone else's banks, these are the these are
Huge.
the easy wins along the way. You know, if you recapture that 34.5%, all of the other gains, they mean nothing.
Pale in comparison.
That's right.
I
So
just,
just doing that alone can be a huge win, a huge tailwind for your family. And yet, throughout that process, whenever the next emergency occurs,
yeah,
you also have access to capital to make sure that you're not part of that struggling crowd
right.
that's borrowing from friends or family. You know, I hope every single person listening to this never has that happen.
Yes, me
I hope
too.
you have 50 years of the most blue skies and tailwinds that there ever was.
Amen. Yep.
But history doesn't show that that's likely. And so when that does come, what does it look like? Have you built up a small or a large amount of capital that, regardless of what credit crunch is happening at the time, regardless of what the Fed has said the rate is, regardless of all of those things, you can go, I'm ready for some of that cash. Is yours set up that way so that you can take advantage of that?
You said that brilliantly. You have clarity going forward, not just today and next week and next year and 5, 10 years. You've got clarity of where you're going to be at, what that's going to look like.
Yep.
If you've got your money spread out all over the place with these, oh, we'll see what happens here. You have no idea what the future will hold. There's so many stories we could talk about the importance of cash flow. That is the lifeblood of any business. Well, what's a family unit? It's a small business. Financially, you have the same considerations in operating your household, many of the
Yep.
same considerations.
Yep.
And this is a way that you could really build a fortress to protect your family. And God forbid something happens to you while you're using it in the banking function, you're backstopped. And I've got a significant liability there, and the market tanks. What's my wife going to do? Well, guess what? Now she's got a pack of life insurance cash that she could use to weather that storm, or if it's not needed, she could sell it, but it buys her what? Time.
Yep.
Time to think, time
Yep.
to make good decisions. You and I are here as infinite banking practitioners, not to preach to anybody. We're just here to be part of that expanded team. And we so believe in building the foundation from an infinite banking platform where you can go do all those things. There's
Yeah.
nothing you want to do crypto, you want to do real estate, you want to do stock, any of that. You can do it all.
That's right.
But have a foundation, and
That's
that
right.
foundation will be your anchor to stabilize that portfolio over time. It's a beautiful thing. I so encourage people to call you or to call me and have that discussion because
Yep.
we can help. We can be a tremendous help to people if they will just open up that avenue for us.
That reminds me of a young lady that I was speaking with recently, who late 50s, and I'll keep her name and the bank that she worked for out of the story, and I'll just tell you that she does a lot of mortgage interest. Sweetest young lady I've ever met. And one of the quotes that she said at the time that we took an application for her to create her an IBC contract, she said, "Man, I wish I would have got this 30 years ago. I can't imagine how much banks have made off of my family over the course of my lifetime." And she said, "Well, are you willing to talk to my younger kids that are in their late 20s, early 30s?" She's like, "They have to hear this."
Yeah,
I said, "Absolutely."
wonderful. Well, that's all we can do. We can be the beacon of good hope, and this is a very hopeful message. The infinite banking is all about helping people achieve their financial dreams, about helping them sleep at night,
That's right.
through the
Yep.
difficult times.
Yep.
It's not necessary to sweat.
Yep.
You look at all
Imagine
these statistics.
what yeah, how Nelson stumbled upon this in
Yeah,
the late 80s, right?
yeah,
Or
yeah,
in the early 80s when he
yeah.
had the interest rates were just going bonkers, and he had bought whole life for his entire lifetime. He had bought his first policy when he was, what, 14 or 15 years old?
Yeah.
He was young.
Yeah.
And
He was a
yet
young man.
he had no idea what he had created for when that hard time hit,
Yeah.
for when he had a really, really bad medical experience within his family that they needed money and they were about to be upside down. And he stumbled on this. I mean,
Yeah.
this is not a well-known avenue for, a place to store your capital, a place
You know,
to,
most people don't know about infinite banking. They just don't. Yet it's been around, Jared, for almost 200 years. People don't
sure.
realize it.
Yep.
Because why? We use dividend paying whole life insurance from mutual companies to set up these strategies, and
Yep.
they work beautifully.
Yep.
McDonald's used them. Some of the Disney wouldn't be around without life insurance contracts. That's
That's
how
right.
Walt Disney got. I mean, there's story after story of
That's right. Yep.
incredible successes. J.C. Penney back in the day.
Sure.
Many,
Yeah,
many
yeah.
great stories.
That's right.
I just thought it was important for us to draw that correlation between, creating time with airplanes and creating time with your finances.
Yep.
They are very closely related,
Yep.
and we want a positive outcome for everyone. We want
Yep.
nothing but the best for our clients. Even if you're not our clients, we want the best for you.
That's
But
right.
take a look at Infinite Bank. There's too many salesmen out there. There's too many people out there selling your product. We're not selling anything. We're teaching. Do we get paid for what we do? Yeah, we get paid for what we do. You and I are cut from the same cloth, like Nelson. That this is about doing good for people. This is not. This is not about filling a bank account for ourselves. It's not.
That's right.
It just is not. If that's the motivation, you're in the wrong business.
Yep.
It's a wonderful, wonderful financial tool which allows us to spread risk
That's it.
to other
And,
people.
and to manage that risk, you know exactly what is undertaken, you know what has transferred to the insurance company, what responsibility is yours and what is theirs. You know that the day you sign the contract.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's all about risk management and having access to capital.
Risk is everything. Understanding risk is everything. It's so
right.
important. So I think maybe we could wrap it up and
Hello.
hear your final thoughts on the correlation between creating time.
Final thoughts would be, regardless of whether you're in the aircraft or dealing with your family finances, you've got to have an out plan. You've got to have the resources needed to be able to weather any storm, to handle any emergency. And what better a way to do that than through a IBC style contract, a infinite banking concepts policy that is structured properly for your family and for your home.
Wonderfully said. Well, with that, Jared, I will sign off. I wish you a wonderful day with the family, and thanks for making time. Thanks for all you do on a regular basis. And everyone should give Jared a call. He's an awesome individual, great guy to know, and very, very knowledgeable in the infinite banking space. You won't go
Far
wrong.
too kind. Far too kind.
So,
I got a great mentor.
oh well, you're kind back. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Have a great rest of your day. We'll talk
You too,
soon.
Jared. You take care. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
We'd like to thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Creating Tailwinds podcast with your hosts, John and Jared. As always, we welcome your questions and critiques. You can reach us through the Contact Us tab at flightpathfinancial.com. Remember, it's all about how you think. As Nelson Nash has said about infinite banking, give it your close attention, and it can make a radical improvement in your financial future.